Introducing, if it's square, it's a sonnet.
Okay guys, so this flip video we're going to talk about sonnets, and we're going to talk about 3 different kinds of sonnets. First we have the Petrarchan or the Italian sonnet. Then we're going to move on to the Shakespearean or the English sonnet. And then at the end, after this video, you guys are going to have to do an internet search and find some information on what a Spenserian sonnet is. And then you'll bring that knowledge with you to class on Monday. Please remember that during this video, just to really pay attention, stop if you need to, go back, look at slides. You will have a quiz, like I said, on Monday, reviewing the material that I have discussed in this video. Alright, so let's get started.
Okay, so the word sonnet means little song. It came to be around the 13th century. It signifies a poem that is 14 lines long and has a strict or a specific rhyme scheme. And then traditionally when writing sonnets, English poets usually employ the iambic pentameter. The reason why this video is titled If It's Square, It's a Sonnet is because the length of the poem and then usually like the words per line, measuring out the certain beats, it kind of gives like a square shape. Okay, so there's 3 types of sonnets. The first one is the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet, which was named after Petrarch, who was an Italian poet. The Petrarchan sonnet breaks into 2 parts. The first 8 lines, or the octave or the octet, has a rhyme scheme of normally A, B, B, A, B, B, A. Sometimes the octet might have a rhyme of A, B, B, A, and then C, D, D, C. But then the second part is a sestet, which rhymes like XYZ, XYZ, XYX, YXY, any of the multiple variations of those last 6 lines where like the first 3 of the 6 are going to have a certain rhyme, and then the last 3 will have a certain rhyme. There is a term called the volta, and what the volta is it's the turn or the shift in the sonnet, and in the Italian sonnet it's going to take place between the octave and the sestet. So remember that term, volta. Okay, so here's an example of an Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. If you'll notice, like I said, I like the square shape just because of the length of the lines and then the just the number, the 14 lines itself. So what we're going to do is let's look at the difference between the octave and the sestet. If you count, you have here your rhyme, year, blessed, oppressed, and then prisoner. Remember in poetry we have that idea of the slant rhyme, so words that are loosely rhyming, like year, prisoner, kind of that sound at the end. So this would be like an A, B, B, A. Okay, so like an A and then B, B, A. And then we have here again the deer, guest, breast, bear. So it's that same rhyme up top, the A, B, B, A. Okay, so this right here would be the octave, okay, the first 8 lines. And then the last part would be the sestet. Let me change colors here. So we have like grove, name, love, another slant rhyme, fame, remove, came. So we would have like a C, D, C, and then a D, C, D. Okay, so then these last 6 would count as the sestet. And then, like I told you guys, in between, if you were to look for the shift, where the, either like where the change in tone or maybe the resolution, if there's a problem that's introduced in the first part of the poem, the volta, it's going to happen somewhere in here between the octave and the sestet. Okay, so moving on to the English or the Shakespearean sonnet. It was first introduced by Henry Howard, but Shakespeare made it famous. Okay, the English or the Shakespearean sonnet consists of 3 quatrains and then a couplet. And the rhyme scheme would be like A, B, A, B for the first 4 lines, C, D, C, D for the second, and then E, F, E, F for the third, and then a rhyming couplet at the end. Shakespeare's sonnets are frequently a little bit more earthy, realistic than contemporary sonnets. Petrarchan sonnets typically are more about like romantic love, and Shakespeare likes to kind of uh, defeat that idea in his. He likes to like reverse the conventional gender roles, and he likes to create a more complex and troubling depiction of love. Leave it to Shakespeare to make things more complicated. Okay, so let's look at the Shakespearean sonnet again. We have this kind of square shape. Just kidding, I can't draw a square. There we go. Go. Third time's the charm. There we go. Okay, let's look at the rhyme scheme. We have sun, red, dun, head. So we have this like A, B, A, B. And then we have white, cheeks, delight, reeks. So a C, D, C, D. And then our third quatrain, no, sound, go, ground. So E, F, E, F. And then you have your couplet at the end, rare and then compare. Okay. In Shakespearean sonnets, the way that the setup of the poem, and this will help you kind of be able to understand the meaning, to keep this in mind. With the Shakespearean sonnets, you have a problem that's introduced in the first 4 lines. It gets a little bit more complicated in the second, a little bit more complicated in the third, and then there's a solution, a resolution, something, a change of attitude that's found in the couplet. So it goes from a little bit more severe, okay, and then we have like this idea of the solution at the end. Okay, so if we were to compare side by side Petrarchan and Shakespearean, Petrarchan sonnets, Italian sonnets, are more like love at first sight, unattainable object of love, unfulfilled love. The lady is always beautiful. There's a lot of oxymorons to describe like the suffering of the lover. Poet sometimes acknowledges himself as the author, or the speaker. There is that rhyme scheme, and it does stick to a certain format. And again, if you look back in the previous slides, your Italian sonnets are going to have the first 8 lines are going to have a similar rhyme scheme, and then the last 6 lines are going to have a rhyme scheme of their own. There's a problem that's introduced in the first 8 lines of the Petrarchan sonnet, and then there's a solution after the volta, the change, the shift in between the octet and the sestet in the last 6 lines. Shakespearean sonnets, there's a rhyme and stanza scheme, so we have quatrains. The first 4 lines have their own rhyme scheme, the second four lines have theirs, and then that third quatrain has its own rhyme scheme, and then there's that rhyming couplet at the end. There's a problem that is introduced in the first quatrain. It gets more complicated through the third, and then there's that solution or that change of heart or that realization in the couplet. Shakespearean sonnets are going to have more realistic attitudes towards beauty and love. Shakespeare likes to kind of undo the Petrarchan notions of beauty. You know, not all women are beautiful, that idea. Again, the form, like I said, of the 3 quatrains and the couplet. And then the couplet generally is the volta in the Shakespearean sonnet. So that turn, that volta, that shift, again, happens in the couplet.
Okay guys, so for Monday's quiz, I'm going to need you to be familiar with the characteristics and be able to define the Petrarchan and the English sonnets. I also need you to do your internet search and look up Spenserian sonnet, and again be able to define that and then identify characteristics. And then make sure that you understand the definition of the volta, or that shift, that change in the sonnet. I know that we didn't read any sonnets in this video. That's what we're going to do in class together. We're going to spend some time looking at each of the 3 types of sonnets, going through them, looking at their meaning, the rhyme scheme, the shift, the speaker, just really analyzing the poems together. So the only thing that you need to know for your quiz is the information that I provided in this video, just the basic definition and the characteristics. Okay, so I'll see you in class.